And hi everyone, welcome to eLearnChat, where you always learn something new. Today I am by myself. Leslie couldn't make it today. She will be in tomorrow, where we have a show with Joe Ganchi and Margie Meacham. She'll be co-hosting. And I'm Rick Zanotti, and here we are. Let's get going. This show is sponsored by Relate Corporation at www.relate.com, your training and video partner.
Hello, I'm Peter Baker. Please visit voiceovermasterclass.com to see details of the training courses I have on offer for new and existing voice talents to further their career by enhancing voice and technical skills, as well as essential marketing tips.
And we are back, and got the pleasure and honor of introducing a good friend. We've known each other for way over a decade. And he is Josh Cavalier, formerly known as the superhero Captain Captivate. Yes. And he's done all sorts of fun stuff. Josh, you started out, if I recall correctly, as a medical illustrator.
Wow, you remembered that.
I do, because I don't know anybody who's a medical illustrator, and that's not an easy field.
Well, it's like being an astronaut, Rick. You know, you only get so many chances to go up on the ship.
Yeah.
And when I got into the field of medical illustration right out of school, I was like, oh, wait a second. There's not that many job opportunities here. So I started looking at multimedia, and that's how I got involved with that area. But ironically, the job that I'm working on right now, which is for a large medical instrument appliance company, involves ECGs, and I've been working on it for 2 years, and we've had to redraw hundreds and hundreds of ECGs.
Interesting.
And so it's come full circle. So now I'm using all that medical knowledge, and I'm drawing and doing all kinds of different things with illustrations and video and animating things, medical processes and ECGs. So it's ironic that it came back to this.
Isn't it funny? It's always got some value you didn't think might be there. There it is again.
I know.
Now, you and I have had similar trajectories in terms of once we got into e-learning, which we both did, or training media. We kind of did slightly by accident. We kind of fell into it through different means, but we both like video. We both enjoy the joys of video and what you can do with it, and how video can also help in training in so many ways. Right. And you were telling me pre-show that you are now focusing a lot more on video than you used to. And just for the audience's sake, you I think started podcasting around the same time we did. You started doing your video broadcasting and your blended training with video and everything back probably, what's it been, about 12 years ago, 11, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
And
we were ahead of the game there with full podcasting room, and that was like 2006 time frame.
Yeah, and not that many. We were at that cutting edge of, is this going to work or not? Because the software and the hardware weren't 100% there yet. I mean, for example, a voice over IP, or not voice over IP, but TCP cameras and things like that didn't exist.
Yeah.
We were all trying to figure out, how do we get to the internet and get on? It wasn't that easy, and there were timeouts everywhere. And then it started working. It's just like, wow, it works now. And the hardware you need, and the cameras and this and that, it never ends. It just never ends.
Right.
My wife used to always say, what are you buying now? Another camera? Another one? Yeah, we need this one. Well, what happened to the other 10 you needed? We don't need them as much.
Right.
So.
Right. We had when we started podcasting, we had the first FireWire mixing board that went directly into the sound card, and we'd run 4 or 5 channels in, like a call-in number. We had 4 live mics, we had sound effects, and we were deathly afraid that CPU was going to crash running and recording all those channels at one time.
Was that a Mackie? Did you have a Mackie mixer?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I think we probably had the same one.
Mackie.
They were the best ones out there in those days. They're built like tanks.
Yeah, it was an impressive piece of equipment at the time. But what's funny is, now when you look at podcasting, I think it has to do with access. and that's the reason why it's scaled so much in the last 5 years, is that you now have the ability to quickly find and play a podcast on any device. So were we behind, or were we ahead of the curve? Oh, most definitely. And we're putting out some great content back then, but it just wasn't at, we couldn't get at scale to where you would have a lot of audience members, really folks that were just kind of geeking out and listening to podcasts and, and trying to find different things that were online, or it was our clients or our students that were listening to our podcast.
Yeah.
But now you also have mass media, just because there's so much reach now with podcasting. I think you see, folks like from NPR or folks that used to be on NPR, they have their own shows now, and it's of high quality. And it's phenomenal, the content that's out there.
Yeah, you were one of the first to do training in kind of a hybrid mixed environment. You had live people, and you also had people calling online. And I remember nobody was doing that but you. It was really cool. And you get the scars, like you said. You get scarred every day a little bit more, but you got it working.
Yeah, we actually went and met with remember Breeze. So before Connect, it was Macromedia Breeze, and met with Peter Rice, who was at with Macromedia at the time, and said, Peter, we're going to go ahead and do online training. It's going to be like a TV show. And so we brought in a TV producer to go in and do the timings for us. And we went ahead and we started doing test runs on like Dreamweaver training. So at the time, James Williamson, and for those of you that have taken HTML5 and Dreamweaver classes up on, well, not necessarily Dreamweaver, but CSS, and James, the well-known person with Linda, James actually went ahead and started doing tests with Dreamweaver, and we were doing like 10, 15-minute, 20-minute shows just to get the timings down. And we're like, yeah, this is feasible. And so we started, doing and offering online classes that would be, I don't know, 2010, 2000, 2009, 2010 timeframe.
Yeah, you know what? That's about the time I got offered. It was about a 1-year gig of teaching people how to do interactive media online or interactive webinars. And I did that for Adobe and again, Peter Rice was involved, and it was fun. It was fun. And every month we'd get between 250 and 450 people showing up. And I was going,
that's
wow,
impressive.
That was back then, and it was fun. The thing I was the most stunned about was that our retention rate, because that's what it was all about back then. How long will they stay in that room with you? I think we had 98% retention rate, and they couldn't believe it. I couldn't either.
Incredible.
I was like, how do I get that many people to stay? I'm not that interesting. Yeah. And it was just fascinating. It was fun. It was just a lot of fun. And so you're kind of getting into, now you still have your company, but you're also kind of rebranding yourself as you.
Yes. Yeah. So, for the longest time, ran Lodestone, still there, but actually downsized significantly to where I'm just a solo entrepreneur now. So at one point in time, I had 5 offices, had 11 employees, had like 30 contractors, and it was cranking. Yep. And for those of you that are not familiar, it was a training organization where we mostly focused in on media development. So we're an Adobe authorized training partner. And, those were primarily the applications that we did. And we, did some programming languages. And when mobile started ramping up, hit that as far as training classes. But then over the last 5 years, started slowly scaling back. And I think really it was, after we opened up New York office, when the recession hit and the training dollars just went away. So it was extremely difficult to open up a whole bunch of traditional offices and then also do the online. And I think that's, having a hard time balancing that out. But we went mostly online and we scaled that. But then, after a while, you start getting at, I don't know, 18 years in. And it's like, okay, I think I need to go ahead and switch things up a bit. So I got an opportunity to work on a very large project, and that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. And during that time, I really thought about, what do I want to do? What do I want to leave behind before I leave this planet? And decided to go ahead and double down on video. So about 4 years ago, I was doing a lot of workshops and conference sessions on the cognitive psychology of video. A lot of micro video talks, and what makes those tick, and what happens the first 5 seconds you watch a video. All kinds of different topics around that. And I just fell in love. I fell in love with the research. I fell in love with teaching people these concepts and those aha moments that they could immediately apply to their training videos. And then once it started scaling, I'm like, all right, I'm going to double down on this. This is where I want to be. So that's where I'm at right now. That's my sole focus, is educational video.
That's great. And by the way, for those who don't know or haven't had the experience of being taught by Josh, he's a great trainer. You've always had a natural facility with training. You're very personable. You're a good guy, and all of that makes for good training. And I know a lot of people who've taken classes with him. They've all said, "Hey, he's a great trainer. That was fun. We had a good time." And when people say they had fun at the training, they enjoyed it, there's a good chance they're learning from it because they're not hating it. And that's a big plus in your case. I know you've got a young boy, and you don't want to, we were talking pre-show about, you want to see them grow up. You don't want to miss every moment of their lives, because believe me, work takes over sometimes. And so, power to you for what you're doing and how you're doing it. And again, you're going to have fun with video, because video is fun. I think it's inherently fun.
Yeah, and I still believe we're in part of a golden age. It's funny because we were talking about like doing all the online broadcasting and being ahead of the curve. Everything's at scale now. And I think as an industry, we're just now really finding out like what works and what's effective. I mean, when you have billions upon billions of hours of video up on YouTube, people are finding out what works and doesn't work at fast intervals, very fast intervals. And YouTube's a little bit of a different animal, just because they're trying to maintain people's attention. There's different reasons why folks are creating video or video-based content up there, especially if they're trying to monetize. As opposed to doing straight, educational content. But still, we can glean from that so many different things that just work in regards to maintaining attention and, gaining attention throughout a whole entire like long form training video. So there's a lot of things we can learn there. So it's fascinating. and it's funny that we're still in that golden age.
And it's funny. There's an allure of YouTube for a lot of young content creators. And I know some of them, and they're working 160 to 200 hours a month, and guess what they're making on YouTube? $2,000.
No idea.
$2,000. They're killing that. So they're way below minimum wage. So $2,000, you work your buns off to try to come up with good content. There's just not a lot of money to be had there, unless you just happen to hit it really, really big, and the odds are small that somebody will go that viral or they'll be that important. Because, right now you've got some guys that are really popular who teach you how to do YouTube well. And they're kind of tweaked. They're either super hyper, they look like rats on smackers. It's like, wow, calm down. Do you ever take a breath? No. Or they got some other one that I won't mention names, but if you've seen these guys, it's like, I'm so-and-so, my people, come to me and I will teach my people. Wow. So they become little messiahs in their own right. And they're making money because of YouTube. But the thing is, they're pretty weird. I mean, they're really sacrificing a lot to become these messiahs of the masses. And the money's not there unless you happen to be one of those guys. It's just sort of interesting. And then if you listen to what they're telling you, they're not telling you anything that's going to make you more money. They're just telling you stuff that gets you excited about making more money. And, of course, they're usually getting a part of it from you because they're trying to teach you how to do that. It's just sort of an interesting kind of aside. It's becoming, I guess, Amway-ish. Nothing bad against Amway. It just the way they recruit people sometimes is a little interesting. I've known a lot of people who've been in multi-level marketing. It's just like, oh my God, how do you get your own family not to talk to you anymore?
That's what's going on, is that you now have network marketing at scale.
Yes.
And so you see a lot of these network marketers in your feed, and they're, you're in a fist fight for attention. Yeah. And so they are going to go over the top. They are going to do whatever it takes to go ahead and gain your attention, and then hopefully match up that, your need, the audience need, and so I think that's one of the reasons why you have so many individuals who are trying to make it on YouTube, but they're just not honed in. They're not like focused in on a specific audience. I mean, you have to, you have to find your niche. You have to find that one specific audience that when you put your content out there, that folks are just going to clamor for it. Like they really want to know more and gravitate towards you. And I think sometimes individuals, when they try to put content out, they're in the blue water, or they're in the red water. They're like, there's so many other folks that are in there that they're not finding the blue water that's fresh, and or there's a gap out there in the marketplace that needs to be filled with knowledge. Have
you ever seen a pool of big giant carp, like those orange? They're like giant goldfish, but they're nasty, and it's amazing. You throw a little bit of food in, and hundreds go for it. Fight for that little bit of food, and they look mean, and they're like not so dangerous piranhas. It's like, wow. And that's kind of YouTube today. They're all fighting for that mythical million that they can make somewhere. It's just not really there. Some people can make it, and you have to be careful on YouTube. There's a lot of censorship. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of that. You just have to be careful what you say, what you do. If you want to get into politics and you get into YouTube, good luck. You better be on the right side or the wrong side, because they'll throw you off. If you want to get into other subjects, you have more of a chance. It's sort of interesting what you can and can't do. And you've got a lot of other video platforms, but no one's as big as YouTube. And one thing that I love about the platform, I've been studying a lot because I have a YouTube channel with no videos. Like I've been planning for 6 months of rolling out YouTube videos going into 2020 once this project is done. So just be patient, folks. Those videos are coming. What's fascinating to me is that you have the distribution model and the way that folks are consuming media have slanted now more towards online as opposed to network television, especially for like my son's generation, constantly on YouTube, more so than the networks. And so now you have these individuals that they're the next generation of broadcasters, especially those folks that are over like 1 million or 2 million subscribers, or 10 million or 13 million subscribers. They're their own TV channel, essentially, is what's going on. So much so that recently the FTC gave YouTube that little $120 million fine because of they broke the child protection laws and data, the data issues. And so now if you have a channel up on YouTube that is geared towards children, there's going to be no ad revenue. You can't serve up ads. You can't, so all these individuals that had this whole business around serving up content for children that was generating ad revenue or other kinds of revenue, they're sunk. They got to find something else to do. Interesting.
So, you got to be nimble these days if you're coming out with some type of video solution in regards to knowledge transfer or entertainment or anything. I don't think you can rely upon one platform.
No.
Can't do it.
We used to be on Vimeo, and Vimeo was really good for a while. I still like Vimeo better as a video platform than YouTube. You have better organization of your channel. You can have your master channel and many channels underneath it, which you can't do on YouTube. You can do playlists, not the same. But Vimeo just doesn't attract anyone. Nobody goes to Vimeo as a site. It's like, oh, we got to get to Vimeo today. They go to YouTube. And there aren't enough people there to subscribe to. For example, I have probably 50 subscriptions on YouTube, maybe more. And I listen every night to somewhere between 30 and 40 podcasts. I'm just used to it. I listen to it. It takes an hour, hour and a half, and I can go quickly through them. And that keeps you up to date on what's going on, new equipment, new cameras, new mics, new this, new that. And then we're putting out our same kind of things where we're reviewing things and putting them out. And you know what we get the highest reviews on? Not eLearning, we get it on mic reviews, on camera reviews.
Yeah, sure.
Anything that's a technical review of something, that's where they, I've got 40, 50,000 views on a mic. Things like that. And it's like, wow. People will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000, but not like we do on hardware. Hardware's it. It's really interesting. And or any review of a product, they want to see what people think out there. That's where the interests lie. I want to be taught something. I want to find out if something's good. I want a different opinion.
Right.
And it's
and
fascinating.
people just love, especially if you're an AV geek, people just love to buy new gear.
I know.
They love the latest and greatest.
We're doing an eLearning show right now, but they call it GAS, Gear Acquisition Syndrome. And it's a bad one. We all suffer from terrible gas sometimes. So
right. That's a good one, man. Yep. I completely understand it. Got to have latest and greatest.
Yeah. Like we have, I don't know, we've got over 20 mics, maybe 25 mics. And people go, why do you need so many mics? I go, you never know. And each mic just sounds a little bit different than the other. Like this is my new favorite mic for the last, month almost? I really love this mic. It's a Sennheiser MK4, $299. That's it. I was going, that's it? This mic is great. It's a really good voice mic. $299. I've got multiple $1,000 mics that don't sound as good as this one.
I know, it's funny. You just never know. I mean, I just got the old school first gen Yeti right here.
Yeah, the Yeti. So,
yeah.
I had a Yeti. I don't know what happened. I gave it away. I gave it to this young guy who worked at a restaurant we knew, and he really wanted to do voiceover and a good voice, but he had no mic. I go, tell you what, come to the office. I'll give you one of the ones I have. So gave him a Yeti, and he had a good voice. I don't know if he ever actually I lost touch with him, but he had the kind of voice he could easily have gone into voiceover. So hopefully he did. Maybe that Yeti gave him a little bit of a head start.
Getting back to like Vimeo and platforms, one thing I noticed, and this is just maturation in the industry. I don't know if you noticed what Wistia did recently as far as an offering, but they're giving individuals now an opportunity to serve up their own Netflix like front end. Huh. Oh yeah. Yep. So that you can just go in and immediately set up your own Netflix channel. Huh. Essentially bypassing YouTube and the ads.
Nice.
Right. So if you wanted to go in and build your own channel, obviously folks aren't, you have to work on the marketing around it to let folks know that it's there. But I mean, if you already have a built-in audience or a giant email list and you wanted to, get out of, the whole YouTube ecosystem, Wistia's moved that direction. And another thing that they did, and I think the reason why they're going to this, is that you find that there's different brands that are out there that you would never associate with creating entertainment-based content, creating their own TV shows, like MailChimp. They're going out and they're creating their own TV shows and building up that affinity marketing, building that brand at a whole different level, where folks are being entertained by the content that they're putting out there. And so you see all this like television shows at scale. Yeah. It's a fascinating time.
Yeah. Anybody who wants to be a producer, content creator, developer can do it without spending a lot of money.
Right.
You don't have to buy that much gear. You can start low. You can build your way up, and you don't have to spend a fortune. You could do it probably for under $2,000 if you want. Easy. And then just build your way up. Yeah, because you can get a good camcorder. You can even just get a good webcam. Some of them are nice, like the Logitech Brio 4K webcam, and even some of the Apple FaceTime cameras are pretty good. You can get, some of the laptops have great camera. Get a laptop, get a desktop, and then just put out content. You can get, actually, one of the things I'm talking about at that video show that I'm presenting at in about 2 weeks is a killer combination. There is now a new thing called the Blackmagic Design A10 Mini. It's yay big. Okay, this is if I'm holding it flat now, I'm bringing it this way. It's about 8 inches by maybe 4 or 5 inches. 4 camera inputs, microphone inputs, all in that little device, and it comes out a USB as a webcam into your system.
Wow.
So now all you need is something
amazing.
to stream, whether it's OBS or something free, or
Yep.
or get vMix or Wirecast, whatever. There's a whole mess of streaming software, and now you have a miniature TV studio right there in your hands with the switcher, with the buttons all built in for you to switch. And if you want better audio, you buy the Rodecaster, RODE, Rodecaster.
Yes.
It's about yay big. That's a miniature recording studio with 4 mic inputs, plus you can have Bluetooth
that.
inputs.
So cool. I did see that.
I have one. We have one. We got it when it first came out. We reviewed it. It's amazing. So you have 2 pieces of gear, which will now cost you about $1,000 for both. So $1,000 for a TV studio and an audio studio, and all you really need is a laptop or a desktop just to tie that signal in and stream it.
Wow.
You couldn't do that 10 years ago, 12 years ago, even 2 years ago. So, wow, it's really getting more and more available to anyone. And
we have a
it's
special
fun.
guest.
Hi there.
That's Muffin.
Hey, Muffin.
She has been bothering me for the last 20 minutes, so I'm going to let her
cute.
sit on my lap.
Now, what is she?
She's a Papillon mix.
Papillon. She's so cute.
She's a little Papillon mix. Yeah, right? She's like, what are you doing?
Oh, that's so funny.
She's like, I just want to sit on your lap.
Master, what are we doing here?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's I had built out a broadcast studio, and we were trying to do an online play called Brightstream TV, which didn't work out. But I had all that experience in building out the studio, and if I only spent $2,000 back then, that would have been awesome. But I spent way too much money, but had the right setup. Yep. But it's funny how just in a matter of like 5-6 years,
I know
how the tech has just it's just exponentially scaling.
You know, when you bought that ATEM, we bought a $25,000 new tech. I think it was a 550 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it came in the first day, and they turned on. I was like, and I went, "What is that noise?" And the guy goes, "Oh, well, that's just the noise it makes." I go, "We can't put this in our studio. This thing is horrific." And they go, "Well, most people have a control room." You didn't tell me we needed we could have done it, but you didn't tell me we needed a control room. I was so ticked. I hated that machine from day one. So then we weren't the only ones to complain. So they came out with a fix where you rubber banded a couple parts away from that fan that was going crazy. And the problem is, and a year later, we sold it. I literally gave it away. There was a pastor who had called. He was going to buy it. We were going to sell it for like $15,000, maybe $20,000. And we paid $25,000 for it. And this pastor, he did a lot of youth work. And I didn't know him from before, but he was an LA County fireman. And he left me the nicest message on the phone. He goes, "Mr. Rick, this is Arthur, and I'm a pastor, and I don't know if I have enough money saved up for this, but I'd like to try to buy it from you. I have $10,000 if that works." And I called him up, and I said, "You're in luck, Arthur. We happen to be selling it exactly for that price, and I'll throw in about $5,000 of more stuff."
What a coincidence!
And he goes, and then he caught on. He came out for training. We trained him for a whole day, and at one point he goes, "Why are you doing this for me?" And I said, there aren't that many people who do good in the world. We already made our mistake. It paid for our taxes that year because that was a big write-off. I said, "You know what? $10,000 doesn't pay for it, but I don't care. You're doing good. Keep doing good. Maybe that'll pay it back in $1 million one day as with other people." I go, "It's just
goodwill, right?"
And it's goodwill. It's spreading, paying it forward, and it's just goodwill. And I felt great about it. My wife agreed, and he was just, I can't. I go, no. Keep doing what you're doing, man. First, you're a firefighter. You put your life on the line, and he had to quit firefighting because both his knees were shot from some accident. And I said, "You know what? Perfect. Take the Tricaster. Here's some other stuff." And he was thrilled.
Nice.
And we were happy to get rid of it because for us it didn't work out. It was much more complex and didn't work as well as some of our software switchers. And so we went back to, I think we went back to vMix after that, or went to vMix after that, and it was just as good, worked just as well. And ATEM was the one I wanted to get, but the one person selling it where we are didn't have any good deals, and at the time the ATEM could only use the same exact camera on each port. And I went, I don't have 4 of the same
That's
camera.
right. That's what we had, and we had to go ahead and go like 720.
Yep.
What do we do? 720 at 60 frames per second, like across all the cameras.
Each camera, yep. And we didn't.
Yeah.
We had a lot of cameras, but we didn't have that, and I didn't want to spend 4 more cameras, and so we didn't go with the ATEM. I made the mistake of the new tech marketing. I fell for it, and then said, you know what, we don't need this. And now we have, actually, we're running underneath the desk where Harold is. There's a large Alienware Area 51 machine. That thing is a huge server-like gaming machine. It's got fast video cards. We've got 8 capture ports in there. Yeah, it's got really fast cards. We have a 4-port HDMI capture and a 4-port SDI capture. And the thing, what are we taxing it? 5%, 2%? I mean, it doesn't even, what we're doing now, and even when we have 4 people on it.
It's actually about 10.
We're about 10% right now. And we're streaming at HD. We're streaming to Facebook right now. We usually stream to either Facebook or YouTube, and it doesn't even tax this thing.
What's your data rate? What's your HD data rate? 5 megasecond?
No, we're doing, we're probably doing closer to 100, I think.
For our
he's checking here.
For our video bit rate, what we're doing, I think, 6 megabits.
6.
Streaming,
so we're not doing that much.
And then we're doing on the record, we're doing I think 2 megabytes per second or something like that.
2.5.
Yeah, probably. I know. Because when we were pushing 720p, it was around 2.5 megs a second, and then if you want to do full HD, it was around 5 at the lowest.
Yeah, and we're doing full HD, so I guess like he said, 6. I thought we were consuming more, but we're probably consuming more with all the Skypes that usually come in and the vMix calls and all that kind of stuff. But we've got in our studio here, we've got 500 megabits up and down, so we're good. We're pretty happy with it.
Yeah,
it runs fast. We can get a gig over here, but we don't have a need for it yet. So, when we can, it'll be another $200. We get a gig.
So you got to start pushing the 4K signal out.
Haven't done it yet, and nobody watches 4K on YouTube. So
nope, not yet.
It's not worth enough for an interview show. That'll scare people.
I think we're going to start maxing out the resolutions of the screens here. At least once we hit 8K. I mean, I don't know who wants to buy a television over 100 inches big just to notice the difference in resolution.
And your eyes won't.
It won't.
They won't, because like even if you went Retina, 300 megapixels. 300 pixels per inch.
Yeah.
Our eyes cannot see more than 300 pixels per inch. So when you hear 500 PPI, that's nice. You can't tell. The eye physically cannot see more than that. It's like the little pixels in our eyes can't see more than. It's a sensor. Our optic nerve is like a sensor, like anything else. It can see so much, and then you're done. Maybe a rare individual can see more. Some can see less, but 300 is about it. The rest is just marketing dollars. It just sounds good.
It should be interesting to see this holiday season how cheap the high-end 4K TVs are going to be. Because every time I look, I'm just shocked at how cheap a monitor is or a TV is.
I know.
That's over 50 inches, and it's like a couple $100.
Oh, I know. 4K. Now we bought 2 years ago. We bought a 75-inch Sony. It was a higher-end Sony LED. It was I think we paid about $3,000 for it, which was like the limit of what we wanted to pay. That was a lot of money, but the thing is amazing. It's got HDR, it's got everything, and it has, I think, 12 or 24 segments of the screen. So the light is controlled 24 different ways, so you never get too much overspill or underspill.
Oh, right.
It works really well on that. And we also have a smaller OLED in one of the bedrooms, and that one we got for like about $1,300, and that was on sale. And so that was on sale by about $600-700. I bet you the OLEDs are going to start going down to the 1,000 range, maybe lower.
Yeah.
And they're expensive right now. OLED monitors haven't yet really come out that people can buy. They're still about 8 to 10 grand. Wait till an OLED monitor becomes 500. Wow, our eyes are going to be so much more thankful because you'll have much less strain. They just look better.
Right.
You know, like if you look at an iPad Pro or some of the better devices, they've got kind of Retina and they look really, really good.
Yeah, it's slick.
And then you look at our regular monitors, and no matter how expensive, they don't look that good. You know,
no,
it's sort of interesting.
No, yeah,
but
it's but that's we're reaching these thresholds in regards to the tech as far as like monitors and screens, finally bumping up towards the top.
So, what do you see the future bringing to Josh Cavalier?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Well, I know that I'm going to be done with this large project probably in about 8 weeks. And so what I'm doing is going ahead and planning on rolling out my own online courses, obviously about video, and going to roll out a YouTube channel. And there's going to be 3 different areas that I'm going to focus in on. Actually, I can just show you here real quick. It's easier with the visual, right? So let me go ahead and select that. There we go. So what I'm going to do, Rick, is go ahead and just focus in on these 3 areas initially. I have all kinds of different ideas, but I'm going to be talking about the planning process. And what started all of this was the acceleration of video content management systems in learning ecosystems, right? And how to properly take advantage of that. And so with the video instruction plan is going to be a discussion around the different phases that someone goes along a learning journey and how the videos need to be different along that, from awareness to pre-training to training to post-training boost to performance support. Video structures are different for each one of those engagements. And so the video instruction plan talks about that. And then also after you create your videos, what do you do with the analytics? Right? So it's actionable. And what's the difference between somebody just going ahead and pausing a video and going in and pausing a video and taking a note? How do you track that? It's a more salient point. So there's a whole methodology behind that. And so that's one of the things I'm going to get into and talk about as I move forward and put my online classes on. The next is cognitive psychology of video. I've been spending the last 5 years diving in deep in that area and talking with other individuals in the industry who are also very knowledgeable and kind of putting together these different theories, almost like with like graphic design, there's Gestalt and different rule of thirds and things that just work. And it's the same in educational video, but I don't think there's no one resource to go ahead and get that information. And I want to be that resource. I want to go ahead and put information out there so someone can go through a checklist and say, yeah, when I go ahead and create an educational video, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And Dr. Richard Mayer did a lot of that work, and Clark and a whole bunch of other folks. They started doing that research in multimedia, but they haven't really hit it hard with video. And I think there needs to be some work around what makes a great educational video. So I'm going to talk about that, and then doing a lot of work around video analytics and what's going to work in organizations, or even if you're doing marketing. I mean, let's say you got a YouTube channel, what analytics are going to work there? So what kind of actionable things can we do with video analytics that ties back into a business need? And I think for a lot of folks, there's a lot of metrics that are vanity metrics, or, they don't really know how to tie it back into a KPI, right? So that's another area that I'm gonna take a look at. So those are the big 3. And I have a class coming up, selfless plug. It says Camtasia Masterclass, and we're going to be teaching a lot of Camtasia, but those 3 areas are also going to be in the class. So if you
great.
come and take the class, you're going to learn how to create a video instruction plan. We're going to go ahead and break out and create individual videos using cognitive psychology, and then also have a whole discussion about video analytics and the value that certain analytics have for improving or modifying a video strategy. And that's coming up January 14th through 16th right here in Charlotte.
Cool. You know, it's funny.
Yeah,
you're one of the first training people I have met in decades who use the word or the initials KPI.
Why are we not talking about
most
this?
Most training people
further?
have no idea what a KPI is, a key performance indicator. And so therefore they don't tie anything back to that KPI, to business needs that whether you can track and measure whether the training actually improved those key performance indicators. And
right.
when you said that, I was going, thank you. Finally, somebody said this. Because you're right, video is great, but how do you measure the emotional impact of video and tie that into something that improves performance and productivity?
Right, and just here's an example. You know, so let's say that there are it's a safety situation, and you know, maybe it's like forklifts, right? So there's forklift incidents, and it's something that can be tracked, especially if it's a high impact factor for a company. Well, let's say that we roll out a whole video-based instruction plan just for addressing that one problem. I mean, what if we can actually go ahead and tie back in the views, not only just the views, but let's say they watch a segment of the video twice, 3 times, 4 times. They watch it 3 times. They take a note at a certain point on the timeline or with a time code. I mean, that's a really salient point. And, you know, it's not that far of a leap to say that the consumption of media, if it's tracked properly, can tie back into behavioral change within an organization. It's got to be set up properly, and it's got to be vetted out. And I think that is where we're headed with the video analytics. Now, organizations need to have a video content management system set up properly to even begin the conversation. And it's very rare for me to see that within corporate America. And a lot of it has to do with the sales and marketing department owning the video content management system, not L&D, not HR.
Right.
And so there's a lot of work that's got to be done for corporations or government agencies or higher ed to get the whole company on one video content management system. And there's a whole bunch of problems that you introduce with that, but I think it's going to be essential for organizations to get at that point. Especially when, you know, you take it out 5 or 10 years where artificial intelligence is automatically creating video-based content based upon your knowledge gap and your personality and all kinds of other factors. If you don't lay the foundation down, that's never going to happen for any kind of organization.
Hey,
I think
Josh,
that's where things are headed.
Can we get you back on camera?
Oh, sure. Yes. So sorry. There we go.
There you go. Well, we are just about out of time.
I was pontificating, and
that was great
on
though.
Camera.
and you know, that's some valuable content. I think we're going to make a mini clip out of that last section alone where we're talking about KPIs and stuff, because that's so important.
It is.
And it's a hard concept to teach people who aren't talking about KPIs, aren't talking about really improving performance. You made a perfect comment. They want vanity analytics, not production performance analytics. That's that's the huge miss in most e-learning. And nobody wants to talk about it because it's a dirty little secret. It just kind of is what it is. But yeah, that'll be good. And especially with video, that's another one. Who owns you made another good comment. Who owns those video management systems? It's not learning. So
it's not.
You know, and the sales guys know what KPIs are because that's how they sell.
Sure, of course. Of course. Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, again, I think there's a huge opportunity for learning departments to work with IT, to work with HR, to work with sales and marketing, to all get together and get on one common platform. But there are a lot of risks. As a matter of fact, I was talking with my client today, and they have one video platform. I'm not going to mention which one. And she went ahead and she logged into it to do some massive uploads, and it was all in Spanish because somebody who was from a different line of business logged in and switched the whole entire video content management system to Spanish.
Oh, the whole thing.
This is not a small business. This is a major corporation, global corporation, and this is what's going on. And so, you know, it's you have to assume those risks that are going to be in there, and obviously there's going to have to be governance set up when you have these types of platforms that span across multiple lines of business within an organization. But it is critical, and I'm spending a lot of time, getting familiar with all the different facets of video content management systems and the vendors that play in that arena.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. And it's growing. Like you said, it's a new part of the industry. They've used video management a lot in sports for years.
Yeah.
For years, probably 20 years. It's amazing how they literally index every aspect of a sport game.
And the NFL. I mean, the NFL is a great example of, they've been doing video management since the 1960s and 70s.
Amazing. Yeah.
With NFL films.
It's pretty amazing. And if we watch any kind of broadcast with sports, how do they get that done so fast? They got video management systems. Everything's queued up. Everything's ready to go at just one press of a button. It's just mind-boggling how well they do it. You know, and of course the announcers are incredible too. They have almost everybody memorized. They're just great.
Right. Yeah.
But
yep, exactly.
Anyway. Well, hey, we look forward to having you come back on again. Tell us more about your learner journey and your work journey, because it's always fascinating. And I think we're going to be in Charlotte sometime next year. I'll give you a call next time we go out there, and definitely let's meet up.
Oh, certainly, man. I got a few good barbecue places we could go check out. And if you're not into barbecue, there's all kinds of other great food here in Charlotte. It's become a culinary little oasis here on the East Coast.
Yeah, I know. It is good up there. Well, anyway, well, have a good one, Josh. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Rick.
And much success in what you're doing. I think I appreciate it. Well on the right track, and we're probably both going to be in similar places, so we'll probably be collaborating on something in the near future, I can tell. So
I love it.
That'll be fun.
Let's do it.
That'll be fun. So for all you people watching in the chat room, you can get more information on Josh and get to his website right below here on the show notes. Please do visit his site, joshcavalier.com. And we will see you next week. Well, actually, we'll see you tomorrow on another show with eLearnChat. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Take care. We'll see you.